The Amtgard V9 committee just dropped a huge video. Today, I'm going over it with the newly dubbed Sir Lao Tzu the Builder. Let's get to it.
Thanks, Cord. Hi, folks. I'm Wunjo, and I'm the current director of the Amtgard V9 project. Whereas Cord went over some of the ways we intend to iterate and expand on the V8 rules, I'm going to take you through how we plan to make version 9 feel fresh and exciting. Now, to be perfectly clear, this is not a complete list. Rather, it's a peek at some of the things we feel comfortable
all the asterisks
committing to at this time. Let's take a look. First up, we have enchantments, or to be more accurate, the enchantment ecosystem. Players love buffs, but V8 went a little overboard with the quality and quantity of enchantments. This has made enchantments the go-to solution for almost every situation in V8,
Agreed.
And that explosion of usage has exposed a lot of flaws in the system. Namely, the ways we display, declare, and deal with enchantments.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge, man.
In Amtgard V9, we will be reworking the visual and auditory indicators, as well as reducing the overall impact of enchantments on our everyday games. Putting specific effort into balancing their effect on park-sized games and games where the participants care more.
That's super challenging, too. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to balance a game for 10 people and the same game for 100 people. That's mad. Like, that's...
Yep, 100%. Because it's one of the things, like, a druid at a park level, if they're potentially, like, almost any park, like, if there's a druid in one team versus a team without it, like, they can just win. And we're saying equal level, everyone equal level sort of thing. At almost every single level, like a druid is probably just going to make their team win because they just inherently have that much power packed into them. Like it is so strong. And I do like the point that they're making. I'd be very curious to see how they're going to do it. Like the displaying enchantments and declaring enchantments. That's something I very much like have an interest in seeing because it's no fun, like me doing the throwy game sort of thing, and also like get like 8 throwies at someone, and all of a sudden I just hear pro proj. I'm like, come on, dude. So it'll be very interesting to see something like that. And that's a great example. Like pro proj is such a niche little enchant, but what they were saying is like enchants are the solutions to everything in the game. Like
currently,
like it is how you like whenever you're strategizing for a different team in particular, you figure out what their strategy is. It's like, all right, what enchants ruin their day, sort of thing. Whether it's pro match or like adding some sleight of minds in there because they're only going to bring so many disenchantments, or whether it's just bringing 2 naturalized magics and their whole strategy was around enchantments and now they can't do it, sort of things. Like it, I love the idea of like, hey, let's look at the quality of life on enchantments right now and see what we can do about like making it healthier on the whole. Because enchantments are only fun for the person that has them at the end of the day. Like
or whoever has the most of them, because like it's this, you have one, I can negate it. You have another one, I can negate it. And then whoever just has the bigger spell list wins at that particular moment.
The only thing, and this is relevant right now, it's nice to have magic armor whenever it's 10,000 degrees outside. Because I'm not wearing my gambeson. Like I went to Emerald Hills last weekend, and the idea of having sweaty gambeson driving back all the way to Kentucky was nauseating. So I was like, all right, no armor this weekend, sort of thing.
Yep.
So
I will say on this slide, one thing that has me concerned. Can you pick it out?
All right, let's see. Reduce visual and auditory indicators. Auditory indicator?
Nope. I'm good with that one.
Maybe I don't know. I can list off every bullet point. Is it dealing with enchantment?
No. So here's the thing. I don't know. I don't want to, again, jump too hard on this until I see what they're actually talking about. Balance the game around park-sized games.
Okay, you said that. That's cheating. I'll try not to pick the obvious answer.
and casual team composition.
Yep.
That sounds like we're going to balance the game around silver players and not grandmaster players, which is
You have to do both.
That's it. That's what I'm concerned about, is that if we make it all around park size small games and all around casual teams, I think we're going to lose an aspect of the game that makes it so fun. But again, I think that might just be a wording thing. I don't think it's like a core philosophy, but I could be wrong.
Maybe think of it like this. Currently the game is not balanced for the park size. It's not balanced for that. So adding that bullet point is saying, oh, we're actually, and this is the positive spin. This is the optimistic spin. It's like currently the game is not balanced for any sort of like park size sort of thing or casual stuff. It's just really not. So by adding that, is like, hey, we're going to actually consider this now, sort of thing. And you know, one of the best ways of doing that, scaling things back.
Agreed. Because scaled back games are still fun on the Kingdom level, in my opinion. Well, I don't want this to be my concern is that that if they balance around casual team composition, it could lose one of the unique factors of the competitive battle games that we have. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'd have to really scale stuff back to get there. That way that line was phrased has me a tad bit concerned.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about it because I don't know, like you look at even Amtgard with like super scaled back things is fun. Like I'll be honest, like I talked to my unicorn bro, like Yorick, this last event. I told him, I was like, it's like, all right, this is just a militia game. Sure, love militia. This is only the melee classes or the non-magic classes. And I was like, weary, ended up being tons of fun. So like it can exist on these kind of scaled back ecosystems. Now what we'll maybe see is a shift to physical armor on the hyper competitive scene, because if the magic is scaled back, then you lean more on physical armor. So we'll see. And at that point, there's a different discussion. It's like the competitive scene is who has a bigger bank. So we'll see. We're both on this sort of speculation sort of sides thing. It could even just be the number of enchantments goes down. Like if it goes down 30%, that's
the game
healthy on the park level.
Oh yeah,
and you can still do it on the Kingdom level, on the competitive scene. Like you can still plan around that. Absolutely. So we'll see.
I'm not super worried about it. It concerned me a little bit.
Yeah.
More playing the classes they like than the classes that are strategically optimal. Speaking of classes, let's talk about everyone's favorite aspect of Amtgard. You've all been asking for it, so now we're committing to it. In Amtgard V9, all classes will have some form of customization and archetype.
Huge plus.
Martial classes will finally be unshackled from their static ability lists for the first time in Amtgard history.
Huge plus.
Casters have dominated the V8 metagame. We hope we can use this as a way to narrow the power gap between the martial and caster classes, if not eliminate it entirely.
My goal is that they bring the casters down and not bring the melee up. Again, I'll just state that again. I don't want more complexity. I want everything to be brought down and simpler. And so it says narrow the gap. I bring the top end down, not bring the bottom end up, in my opinion.
It can be both, though.
Yeah, like, a little bit of both is probably fair.
Yeah, and that's the healthier way of approaching these sort of things. Like, it's like nerfing everyone into oblivion until no one can play is not very fun. But then buffing everyone to where everyone's super OP is also not super fun.
Maybe though. Do you play much Dota at all?
Yeah, that's the exact. It's like Dota. Everyone is OP,
which could be fun. But then the thing is, you have to give the option for every class to be OP as equally OP. How about that?
Yeah, but I guess the thing about it though, we're looking at the perspective of people that enjoy like the competitive scene and things like that. If everyone's OP, like that is less fun for people that are like not aggressive or not willing to go out and do things and pounce and might be a little bit like anxious on the battlefield. So you had to be careful with balancing the game around that, because that is an important part of the community that we have to really consider. But just in general, like super huge plus. Like archetypes are fun.
Super fun.
Yeah, the only thing we just have to be worried about is like, let's just not have a bunch of snipers out there. It's like, let's have archetypes that actually mean something.
That matter, yeah.
Because,
well, and I hope we can get more wizards, in my opinion, because the archetypes for wizards lead to very different play styles that are all fun to play and are all pretty decent, right?
Yep.
And for different game modes and different objectives, with different wizards are better, but there's always an area for each of those. Where you look at like healer, right? There's, in my opinion, there's one clear best in class for healer, and then the other ones are like, sometimes maybe.
I would push back on that a little bit, but it can definitely be an argument on situational sort of stuff.
And then you get sniper.
Yeah. Like, then you get sniper. Like, poor sniper. But gosh, it would be interesting also to see, and admittedly, they're maybe not touching on it on this bullet point, but like looking at making current archetypes mutually exclusive instead of having a druid that is running all three, for example.
Ooh, I like that. Or the same thing with necro priest. Right.
Yeah, like,
take one,
and I'm okay with a little bit of mix and match, but not just like, hey, you can do all of them sort of thing. Like, there has to be some planning involved sort of thing.
Well, and one of the things that they don't bring up in this, but they talked about when I interviewed the V9 team, I'll put a link over here. Go watch that. It was really, really interesting. They said that they're not opposed to, they said they haven't guaranteed they're doing it, but they said they're not opposed to merging classes. So imagine if you have a warrior and a barbarian and something else, or then paladin, anti-paladin.
Yeah, I like that too.
The archetypes become more of what we know, but you're solidifying the classes to be more similar, but then the archetype is what changed. I think that could be a fun way to do it too.
Agreed. Yeah, like scout and assassin, combine them, but you make
and archer. Decision. You could throw archer in there.
Agreed. Too. Yeah, agreed completely. And I like that too. It gets into a point that they get into later, like credits are just kind of annoying. And a new player having to play for 6-7 years to be able to get all these things, it's not great.
Well, if you have like casters, skirmishers, heavy armor,
something like that, yeah.
And then
it makes it easier to, in theory, it might make it easier to balance, because like how a lot of our hands are tied right now. Like, how do we maintain class identity and balance it? And scout is the one that kind of falls on that sword a little bit, is like, how do we make scout unique to scout, but still be powerful and not make it seem like an archer or not make it seem like an assassin sort of thing. So like merging sort of thing or something like that, it makes it to where you can have very clear dividing lines in terms of like what the class identity is. Like, you don't have to have 8, 9, 10, 15 classes that you need to all make super unique. You only have 6, but they all have unique aspects in between them, sort of thing. Like, I mean, healer and paladin there's your cleric right there. So like, the healer can be.
Don't get me excited. Don't get my hopes up. Don't get my hopes up,
dude. Yeah, here it is. I'm calling it. Healer, cleric, paladin all come from the same tree. No armor, middle armor, more armor. There we go. Let's call it.
Fix all of Amtgard's problems. Right there.
Does it though?
Further, we want to give our players the ability to explore, experiment, and discover that perfect class identity or identities as soon as possible. As such, we are also committing to further reducing the time to level so that folks can spend more time playing the game as it was meant to be played.
What is that Reaper all the way on the right? That's what I want to play. Look at that. That guy is cool.
I don't know.
That's why I make that a class. I want to use a scythe and Eldritch Blast everybody.
Meant to be played and less time stuck in the grind. Now, if we're going to talk about the way things were meant to be played, how about putting some RP back into our LARP? The Amtgard V9 team is committing to add a fleshed-out roleplay system to the rules of play.
Positive.
This optional rules layer will function much like how Ditch, Militia, and full-class rules all build upon each other while still allowing our game organizers to pick the rules that are right for their activity. New and updated roleplay abilities are a shoo-in, and we will be actively exploring methods to address the desire for character-based progression and long-term storytelling tools in a way that works for the niche that Amtgard occupies.
So I've slightly mixed feelings on this one. It's only slight. So 90% of the game, I think this is a huge add to keep people within certain bounds, sort of thing. And honestly, like, everyone, whenever they think about RP, they want to go through the sky, and they end up biting off more than they can chew, and things get hard. But there's a couple smiths that we have out here, and Ash is a perfect example of this. I will play any game Ash makes, any RP event. Same thing with paint. I'll do any game, either of those two, design on the RP side of things, because they're going to do a fantastic job, and it's going to be fun, and I trust their ability to do the balancing on that. There's not that many other people. Like, there's like 3 other people that are on that list that I really just trust wholeheartedly, give them the reins, no restrictions as far as like creating an RP rich sort of leveling, blah, blah, blah sort of environment. However, giving the building blocks to the game as a whole, and like having the input of these really, really good smiths in this sort of subject, it's like, hey, this is what we suggest you do, and put these different blocks together, pick which ones you like, and you'll have a good time. Like, equipping people with that tool, I think, is a big plus. And admittedly, I guess you don't have to say you have to do these things. Like, these amazing
said it was
smiths
optional.
can do it. Yeah, so like, take it back, 100% plus. I'm all on board.
This isn't my favorite area of Amtgard, but I think it is for a lot of people. And anything we can do to allow those people, or to facilitate those people having more fun, I think is a positive thing. And because it's optional, it's not going to affect the things that I enjoy in the game. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and let's be honest, at least in our neck of the woods, RP, especially like RP events and things like that, have
cringy.
Well, and I was also gonna say, I wasn't gonna say that. I've enjoyed them. Damn. No, they've been kind of few and far between. So like in our area, whenever you're talking to like new players and things like that, are excited to role play and stuff like that, it's like, you don't want to set up false expectations, sort of things. Like, we don't have like super heavy into the RP sort of thing. Like, our questing isn't like super heavy. Like, yeah, we do night quests, but
what he says right here, the long-term storytelling abilities, that's what we need. We have because I'll go on a rant. We're running out of time. I'm positive for this. Positive. I think overall this will be good for the game.
Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to mention that as we develop all these new rules, we'll be keeping a critical eye on the overall complexity.
Why do they keep making Manama have to be on the computer on all these
new player experience? Likewise, as Amtgard has grown over the years, so too has the diversity and desires of our active player base. The V9 team is committing to expand the explicit scope of our game so that it encompasses all those that have made Amtgard a part of their lives.
Which is great. We attract a certain crowd that other stick tags do not. So good.
I agree.
While class battle gaming will undoubtedly remain our flagship attraction, we want to make space in our rulebook to legitimize the wide variety of non-fighting activities that form the pillars of this community that holds battle gaming at its core.
I feel like we're obligated to say that's a huge plus is 2 Serpent Knights. Like, we're
Well, you think about, I was thinking it, like, I didn't say it in my head, but in my head I was like, both of us really gravitate more towards the physical side of the game, but both of us are Serpent. So I was like, at least, hey, our peers we want to root for in that regard, to be able to empower color, empower all these things. And that's a huge draw compared to other games, like our crafting scene and all in the competitions and things like that. Like, it's fantastic. Having that structured and organized is fantastic, and looking to make sure that remains empowered, I think, is a huge plus.
Agreed.
Last but not least, let's talk about official support for monsters and game organizers. In Amtgard V9, the door on Avatar will be designed in-house with the explicit intent to synergize with core rules of play. making combat with monsters an enjoyable experience
Positive.
for everyone, not just the monster.
Yeah,
Further, the
2-minute rant. Not even 2 minute. Monsters have I feel like I'm gonna get my DMs blown up here in a little bit. Monsters have, at least from the door currently, have no business on the field unless it is an encounter specifically designed to have those monsters on it.
100%.
They are not even remotely balanced. Like having someone at a park that plays this or that, like some of them are super weak and that's fine, but that's not good for balance either. But like some of them are not even remotely close to balance, and they have no business being on the field unless it's like a night quest or something like that. But just like a general player playing that stuff, the door is not made for our game. Like it's not made.
I have no way to know what the monster is in front of me. Like I have the sash, and then they're supposed to have these very unique identifiers in their garb, and 90% of the people playing monsters don't. Or they'll have like elf ears on, but that looks like 50 other things in the rule book too, and I don't know what you're playing. Like you have to make it clear some other way on what you're playing, and then that's even before you get to the balance issues on if it's actually good or bad. Like,
and that's what I care about is the balance.
Yeah, it's a mess right now. So all of this is super positive for me.
Yeah, and we don't need to bite on this, but I know what's in the both of our heads: point buy system. That's it. No more. No more.
Oh, we'll do a video on it. I'll get you back on. We'll get a video.
I'm in.
Third reporting document, the Game Organizer Guide, or GOG for short.
I don't know if you heard I joked about this already in other places. GOG here, Game Organizer Guide. The monster manual should be Magog. It should be GOG and Magog for, I like, that's not what it should be, because the monster manual, Magog.
That'd be funny.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. It's worth the Google.
Short. The GOG will be our equivalent to the Dungeon Master's Guide, a supporting document for game designers, reeves, and roleplay organizers.
Huge.
Notably,
it's absolutely
this
huge.
document won't contain any actual rules.
Positive.
Rather, it will help us remove bloat from the core rulebook by giving us a space.
And I hope they put in warnings like, hey, don't make your games too complicated.
Flesh out the guidance and examples they need, and continue to support those who choose to step up and ensure we've all got something to do week after week.
Fantastic.
Before I pass things over to Manama, I'd like to quickly go over our current projected timeline for the rest of V9 development. In a nutshell, we are still on track for a 2024 release if approved. Over the next year, we will be launching our alpha rule set to a closed audience, the members of our field research program. Once we are comfortable with the results of the alpha, we will be opening up beta playtesting to anyone who wants to participate. If everything goes well with the beta, we will present our final rule set to the Interkingdom Circle of Monarchs for an official vote in summer 2024. If the vote passes and V9 is adopted, we intend to spend 2025 providing post-launch care and addressing any major issues that may have slipped through the cracks.
And real quick on this one,
back to
I think this is a healthy timeline.
Me too.
Like we're still able to do some current playtesting and kind of this closed alpha playtesting. And I need to apologize to the V9 team right now because like we've been playing a lot of these rules and I haven't been writing the report, so I'm just gonna say sorry real quick.
Come on, kid.
Like there's a whole year to do playtesting. Huge positive. Like that's fantastic. And then a whole another year to do playtesting again. Huge positive. And what that does, that also gives us 2 more years to do like V8 rule changes and things like that, and still play in the environment that we're in while being able to increase quality of life and things like that, which is good. Like the ability to change rules just opened up, so that's good. Like I'm glad there's still 2 years on that. So
that would all require you though to actually be at park and play it. Though.
Yeah, I was there today, bud. So like having these 2 years, like I think that's healthy. Like if we were to say, all right, we're going to do V9 next year, it's like, man, we're not giving the V8 rules change enough time. But 2 years, that feels good.
Which is what Manama will get into here.
Yeah, yeah, but Manama stuff boring, so we'll just like not talk the whole time.
Official rules.
We got to get through it though. We're almost done.
I think we're doing good.
Process. Some folks have been asking us why we don't make all these changes with the current rules revision process. why V9? To answer that, I'm going to throw you over to the current RRO and head of V8, Manema.
Thanks, Wunjo. Hi, I'm Manema, and I'm the current V8 Rules Representative Organizer. So why version 9? Why are we going to a new edition? These are questions that I have heard quite often, and it's something that needs an answer. What I'm going to go over is some things to keep in mind when we're talking about going to a new version, as opposed to something like the rules rep process to do changes themselves. So when it comes to the rules rep process, we have this right now on a yearly basis. And the problem with that is that they're looking at piecemeal changes. I want to change this section. If you try to write one rules rep, right, I want to change this entire class structure. I want to add archetypes to all melee classes. That is something that's going to be really hard for them to develop as well as sell to the other 21 representatives. You have a lot of problems with compromise. You have a lot of problems with direction. You have a lot of problems with representation even, because people put their idea out there, they try to get it heard, no one else likes their idea, and then that person decides, well, I guess I'm not in the right group, and they're not contributing anymore.
Yeah,
and
real quick on this one, like, man, I support this sort of thought process a ton. Like, by trade, I'm an aerospace engineer, and to go into a project and like over and over, like on a specific issue to try to get a room full of 10 old dudes to agree like 8 times in a row, it's impossible. Yep. But to get one big change, to instead of just band-aid after band-aid after band-aid, but like actually let's go in and have the big fix, is so much easier to do and is way healthier in the long run. Like you're not like beholden to, we can only make certain steps because it would be overstepping our bounds. You can actually take, like sometimes you need to fix A, B, and C simultaneously instead of doing A, then you have to do C, then you have to go back and do B, sort of thing. So like what Manema was saying here is it's a huge like understatement in my opinion. Like I'm glad he brought it up because it's just impossible to make those changes like one by one and actually have like an effective change that all works simultaneously.
Yeah, for sure.
And anyways, but then it might not be the people that are actually doing the good designing. It's just the people with the loudest voices in the room. Really, it's about too many cooks, right? You have to, at some point, cut it off to a smaller group of actual designers that have goals. They have a list of tenets that they're supposed to be kind of abiding by. This is that kind of things that really streamlines this process and makes it easier to do. Along with,
and they have a whole idea, the entire vision.
Rules reps and other people to bounce off feedback and to get information from, so that we're not just contained in like a bubble. These group of people are the ones we're going to trust to go forward with the design decisions, knowing that whatever they come up with is not going to have a perfect answer, but they at least have had a focus and a goal so that their answer is leading us towards what is hopefully the best answer.
And I trust Manema.
Yep, agreed.
Another thing to think about is the emotional response.
I'll say this too. I trust I think everybody, there isn't somebody on that team that I don't trust that they're going to do a good job with this.
Agreed.
Like they have a really good team for this.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Of the public in the circle of monarchs. A new edition primes people's expectations for how much can change. If you do small changes, obviously the rules rep process is good for that. But when you're looking at systematic changes, people don't expect those changes to happen in piecemeal. They often want to make sure that the balance is all good. And if you try to do that in the rules representative process, you're going to.
It's also harder just to remember. It's like, oh, would this change? This change? So.
Whereas if you have a new version,
getting it in one bite's good.
All these things.
If I'm going to have to relearn my class, I'd rather try and relearn everything at once rather than, oh, this went from charge 10 to charge 3. And then next year it went from this to that. Like, just give me it all at once so I can try and learn it and figure it out.
Yep.
At once, it's much easier to manage people's expectations as well as get good feedback for those playtests. So to sum it all up, given my position as the rules rep organizer and as a member of the Amtgard V9 committee, I strongly believe that the current V8 rules revision process is insufficient for the scope of change that is being sought by our players. A new edition, helmed by a small group of dedicated designers, has the best odds of producing an outcome that not only addresses the needs of our members, but effectively manages game balance, player enjoyment, and future growth. It's clear to me that the question we should really be asking isn't why V9, but why not V9? Thank you.
100%.
Well, that wraps up our 2022 annual report. For anyone looking for more information on the V9 project, documents can be found on amtgard.com/V9 or on our Facebook page, Amtgard V9. Thank you all so much for your time, and we're looking forward to sharing our progress over the coming year. So long.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be chatting. I have a couple of times with the people in my kingdom who get to make this decision coming up for the IKCOM.
Yeah.
We run on a senator system. I am highly asking that we push forward with the V9 stuff. I know some kingdoms, I think your kingdom's one that's pushing to slow it down. I think that's the incorrect response.
There's mixed feelings around.
Yeah. I really, really hope that this continues. I like what they're doing. I like the work. I like the process I like the way that they're doing it, the things they're talking about. I like the people that are doing it. I think it'll be a good thing.
The current timeline, I agree with. If you were to shave a year shorter, then I wouldn't be on board. But where it's at now, I think it's healthy because there is still time for us to do the rules revisions and things like that for this edition. There's a ton of time. There's still the ability to do things and enjoy that and enjoy this rule set. But like just evolution of the game, like given how much of our game is like in the rule book, not just like a stick tag where the different size sticks do different things, but like whether it actually is like rules interactions with spells and things like that, it's a unique and fun kind of environment that we can create in like a very neat and fun, unique kind of I guess change and experience that we can all do together that other games don't have the opportunity just because they don't have that sort of system in the game. We should take advantage of it. If we have it, like, go for it.
Yeah, our game is a unique game, and I think if the V8 continues going, we will still be a unique game. If V9 goes ahead, we'll be a unique game. I have full confidence in this team and the product that they're going to put out.
Same.
Even if I don't 100% agree with everything that's there, I think that the product that they're going to put before the game to vote on is going to be a good product, a well thought out product, a initially decently balanced, but I also think that they are committed to further balancing it as we go, which I appreciate.
Yep.
I think it'll be a good thing. So if you've made it to the end of our 2 hour and 20 some odd minute show,
we're going to have to do parts, dude.
Yes. I will probably break this up. But appreciate you all for making it here. Go talk to your senator, go talk to your king or queen, go talk to your BOD, whoever it is in your specific kingdom that makes this decision. Even if you disagree with Lao Tzu and I here on things, great. As I don't want people to necessarily agree with everything I have to say.
That's a lie.
No, it is. No, hold on. I want you to be able to have a well thought out reason for why you believe what you believe. I don't want you to believe exactly what I say. I don't want you to believe exactly what Lao Tzu says. I want you to be able to think through what you believe and have good, solid logic for that. And if you do, please go to your people who make these decisions, have a conversation with them, let them know how you feel. A lot of times those people they have an opinion and they need to check it against their populace. So go make sure you provide that opportunity for them so they can go and be your representative.
Yep, absolutely. And you can get in silly little fights like me and Godric do all the time. So, and it's fun. It's fun talking about this thing. I know I've sat down with Manama like at like the different Midgard events like many times. Like, hey, how's this sound, sort of thing. You just spitball for a couple hours, and it's a fun way to engage with people in the game, and it's a fun way to get to know people. And whatever, like, if you're looking at it selfishly as well, like talking about these different classes and mechanics and what you could potentially do and not do, and talk about like why it would be balanced and not balanced, furthers your understanding of the game. It further deepens your understanding of the classes and understand like why would this be overpowered or underpowered and things like that. So it's a good thing to do for yourself just in general to have these conversations and to engage in them.
100%. If y'all have any other videos that you would like us to review, give opinions on, me or Lao Tzu or anybody else that you think, send them our way, put them down in the comments. Appreciate y'all watching this. Go talk to your reps, and we will see you next time.
See you, friends.
And where's my cursor? There